I'm Plankey, the General Manager of Indigo Vault. Indigo Vault is an endorsed brand of WTW, one of the world's largest insurance consultancies and brokerages. Indigo Vault is a new, always-on file encryption service to protect your most sensitive documents. You could think of it as data loss protection meets document management service, put together to allow you to have the security you need, but the interoperability you need to share your documents and work in a Microsoft environment. You may ask, why does encryption matter? I have identity and access management. I have network traffic flow and other cybersecurity products. Encryption matters in that it's a way that always keeps your documents secure. The encryption that WTW uses with Indigo Vault is post-quantum encryption. So rather than have an encryption that might become outdated in the coming years, Indigo Vault decided to use the highest level in government-endorsed encryption in the post-quantum encryption certified by NIST, the National Institute for Standards and Technology, and use that to keep your files safe. You may be able to identify adversaries in your network. You may be able to identify insiders trying to get access to certain information. But there are times where your systems might be overwhelmed. They might be turned off, might not be configured properly. When you encrypt your documents or your data, you've actually provided a layer of security that is always on and always keeping you safe. If you think about the NIST Cybersecurity Framework 2.0 that came out last February, and you look at the different facets in there of identify, protect, detect, respond, recover, and govern, encryption is actually in four of those different verticals, and is frequently mentioned as a way to provide defense in depth. The use case for Indigo Vault is any sensitive document that you may have, such as a business contract, intellectual property, trade secrets, strategies, financial modeling, security plans, cybersecurity network plans that you think you might need to keep safe from an adversary, from an insider threat. You put in Indigo Vault. Then, when you work with another company that might need to see those documents or might need to share, you might need to share them to, or they need to share to you. If both companies have Indigo Vault, you can share those documents in an always-on encrypted state, supporting zero trust initiatives, as well as meeting cybersecurity compliance needs. Some of the cyber attacks we see today come in and extract your data and have an initial cost to them. And then down the road, when the data finally hits the public, 9 months, 10 months, 1 year, 2 years later, the company incurs a secondary cost in the breach itself. With Indigo Vault, we're providing an always-on encryption capability that is secured to the level of post-quantum encryption and will prevent that exposure down the road. So how does Indigo Vault encrypt and provide interoperability for your documents? So Indigo Vault sits inside the Azure file system in the Azure cloud, and actually built on top of the Microsoft Purview and Microsoft Information Protection to then provide further data management and encryption of the documents. So you have a multi-layer encryption setup for all Microsoft Office and PDF documents. And then it also sits as an agent on your endpoint, where it allows that interoperability for documents that come out of the cloud and still remain encrypted, even while in memory on an endpoint. We designed it that way to also provide you the interoperability of working while you're disconnected. Seeing multiple document management services that may be great products, but when you're disconnected from your network, you don't have access to those documents. In this case, recognizing that people work from home, people travel, Indigo Vault provides an ability to maintain that encrypted document and still allow you to access it and even share it when away from your Azure environment. One of the other benefits of Indigo Vault is it allows for cross-tenant file sharing. So if another entity has Indigo Vault and you work with them and you need to share documents back and forth, you can easily do that. You can easily have that interoperability, just like you would with OneDrive, except the documents are in a post-quantum encrypted state, at rest, in transit, and in use across the environments, across each environment. And in doing this, Indigo Vault also allows you to work within Azure to provide and meet data residency requirements. So when you encrypt a document in Indigo Vault, when you store it in Indigo Vault, you're allowed to choose what Azure data center or geographic location you would like the document to stay in. And therefore, even when you're sharing with people who may be outside of your data residency space, the document will not actually ever leave the space and it is not replicated elsewhere. One of the other features we've built into Indigo Vault is the ability to provide security in meetings and in working with other teams. And what I mean by that is, if you're working across a team's environment and you are sharing a document within a large group, let's say on a video conference, and you pull the document up, but not everyone in the video conference has access to the document. Well, they won't be able to see it. They'll actually get a black screen instead of seeing the document that you might not have wanted to share to somebody who you couldn't control was in the meeting. Additionally, Indigo Vault provides protections that prevents the cutting and pasting of documents, extracting information out of the document and putting it somewhere else and replicating it. Indigo Vault appears as a file folder on your desktop or in your document structure. When you need to encrypt something, when you have a sensitive document, you just drag it into the Indigo Vault folder, and Indigo Vault will then encrypt the document and store it in your Azure cloud, and then ask you permissions. Who might you want to share the documents with? How long might you want to share them for? Another primary use case we found for Indigo Vault is the usage of data rooms. We've seen a lot of scenarios where a company may be merging with another company. A company may be working together where they need to share a significant number of files. Companies may even be selling to each other or buying and selling, and they need that exchange of data. Indigo Vault provides you with a simple right-click create data room capability that allows you to build a temporary data room for you to share files with internal or external colleagues, anyone who has Indigo Vault. And in these data rooms, your files will be all the time encrypted, at rest, in use, and in transit to the data room. This type of capability will provide high level of security and reliability to mergers and acquisitions, real estate transactions, insurance-related and financial transactions, as well as procurement. In our discussions with a number of users, they talked about having a procurement process that required a safe space to share pricing information or bids. The data rooms quickly provide any user the ability to do that without having to reach out to IT, without having to reach out to someone to build it for you. Every user of Indigo Vault can freely and easily create a data room to share information across to any other Indigo Vault user, whether they're in their company or not. Although we always think of security products as adding friction to the environment, it's slowing down operations, the encryption provided and controls provided by Indigo Vault do not truly add to the friction and slow your business operations. This is why Indigo Vault will move to be center stage in this zero trust environment and providing you a defense in depth. In fact, when I look to the future of cybersecurity, I think encryption writ large will actually become the de facto standard of business operations, cloud storage across all business environments, because that defense in depth posture is just further reducing risk, and it is no longer coming at a cost of doing business. So Indigo Vault can be found at indigovault.com. And as a endorsed brand of WTW, it can be found inside of all of WTW's offerings. WTW as a company uses Indigo Vault to provide the highest level security of their own data and that of their customers. We are also here at Microsoft Ignite seeking to learn more, form partnerships, and see how we can increase our ability to provide interoperability for data sharing while also providing the safest possible environment for our documents, our Excel spreadsheets, our PowerPoints, PDFs, contracts. Thank you. I hope to see you there.